So you can have this fantasy lifestyle of like, oh, I'm in the sun and the yachts with like 20 chicks, but like everyone knows that that's not really happening in Cork unless it's a good day in Kinsale. Like,
you know. What's the crack? You're watching the Lab TV, and I'm here with Stevie G
on the Lab TV.
What's the story? Don't leave me hanging, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's the
I
job.
was trying to keep the rhyme flowing there.
Oh yeah, okay. And I was like,
stick to the DJing.
No, don't leave me hanging.
Definitely not gonna.
Me childhood insecurities.
Some rhymes.
All right. So the purpose of this is right. What we're gonna do is we're gonna express to all of the young artists out there how to get noticed, do you need to get signed by a label, how to promote yourself, how to get taken serious as an Irish artist, and what do you need to do.
Well, first up, fair play to Lab TV for always supporting all the artists from Cork and Ireland. It's amazing. You're doing it as a labour of love, which you got to respect. Everyone involved, Fortune, yourself, everyone else involved. No one's in this just for clout or anything, because that's the first thing I'll say for anything to do with anything on the artistry front, is you might get a little bit of attention or whatever, and it might be good for your ego or whatever, but if you're in it just for that, it's going to be it's not a good way to basically look at things. You have to be in it if you're an artist for the music or for performing or whatever else, because it's a tough game for your mental health and for everything else, for your finances, for your time. So I would say to anyone, if you're interested, you can have a little bit of a hobby or whatever, bust a few rhymes, do some freestyles, make some beats, DJ or whatever. But if you really want to take it properly seriously as an artist, you're going to probably have to do another job anyway. But I would make sure you're interested in the music side of it or the artistry side of it before anything. If you're just in it for a couple of photos or whatever, you're probably better off. Like, you can do other stuff like modelling, or there's loads of other different avenues for that, or for anything else, you know. But I do think finding your own sound is the important thing, and it's very hard because everyone is an artist. Like, there's so many DJs, rappers, singers. So how many people get played on the radio or get on festivals or do gigs? So it's just the percentage of it is very small. But I wouldn't let that get in people's way, like, because we all dream, you know.
Well, how do you get yourself right? So let's say you are a young artist who has made videos and put the time and effort into being a good artist, and an authentic one, and you put your stuff on all the platforms. So how does that guy? Because I'm that guy myself personally. And I know that there's loads of other guys like that as well.
Even myself, like, I release music, and I'm the exact same. Sometimes, and it's how to get, like, we spent money on, I have my own label, we spent money on the music, we spent money on the videos, and how to, because you're presenting that to people and you're like, oh, will you play that, or will you, and like, how do you stop that from being like one click on someone's Instagram story, and just like, or even YouTube, to just, by the time the ad plays, if there's an ad, to even watch it. It's very hard. So do I have the answers? No, but what I would say is try to have your own voice. Now, again, we live in like, hip-hop will be my speciality or whatever, and how does it happen that maybe someone like Cardi B got her voice out there in the last couple of years, which might never have happened in a different climate? Now, there's all these women, we'll say, for example... Was it not through reality TV that she got her break off? Yeah, there would be one of them, but she also had to have the force of personality. I mean, she's got certain skills anyway, which is... But there's also a timing thing. Like, sometimes the world is ready for a woman who's on the mic rapping and being and doing the raunchy thing as well, which traditionally is guys.
But she's owning it.
Yeah.
Because I think what you're touching on there, if I was to get deep about it, or just to make an observation, is that women are now actually stepping into sexual empowerment. Oh no, absolutely, and she would be a person like that, and there's so many more of them in America at the moment. There's Megan, there's Cash Doll, there's obviously Nicki Minaj is there, Missy Elliot was there for years, she's back, Lizzo, but there's millions, and there's people in Ireland now, Sailor David May, Denise Chila is one of my favourites. She's on a different thing. Now, her stuff is a lot more deeper, it's more from a poetry point of view. She's probably my favourite artist in Ireland, and she's a woman on the mic as a poet. And there's people in Cork now even, and I notice a lot of the teenagers we work with, lots of the women
are into rap and stuff, which would have been traditionally more than would have been into R&B and hip hop, or R&B and soul some of the times over the years. So I do think, but it's just trying to find your original angle, and I think like sometimes the world gets a bit sick of just guys going on about like stuff with girls and being derogatory or whatever, and sometimes even some of the raunchy stuff. Sometimes when it sounds from a girl's perspective, it sounds even fresher. But there's a lot more you can talk about rather than that as well. So I'm not saying that's just what Cardi B and all them are. But you have to have the skills. There's different angles, as you said. Coming from reality TV is an interesting thing, because all the angles now, which we do know with social media, is everything. Every angle is kind of important in some ways. That's how artists happen. I mean, I suppose with all of those Love Islands and all that, like people are famous for being famous rather than a certain sort of other thing. So maybe profile. I mean, I have a profile because I work in media, and sometimes I get asked to do stuff, and I know it's not because I'm a DJ or whatever. It's because I have a profile.
Yeah. Okay. So build a profile.
Yeah, but again, is that what, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd also be knowing about music, so that's what my skill is. It's certainly not like doing this or whatever, or it's not. So I don't know how to say it really, but I do think we have to. And in Ireland, there's a big change in the last 20 years with more migration, more different styles and cultures blending. I do think we've always been trying to find our voice, but there's definitely something that I noticed that when I was starting out 20 whatever years ago, lots of kids were ashamed, like we'll say with hip hop particularly. People were even saying, when we were in a pirate radio station up there in Blarney Street, you can nearly see it from this window, and people were even kind of texting in going like, what are you doing with your, like, I don't even have a distinct Cork accent, like, you know what I mean? I'm not like, alright, well, but like there was a kind of a thing where people were like, why are you in your, and I was like, this is how I talk, you know what I mean? This is the way I talk, you know, I'm not like American or English. And you even see the identity, and you even see it with our traditional of Ireland being a country which was taken over historically, and where people try to get rid of the language or whatever. So there's this sort of certain degree of shame that people have even had subconsciously, that people won't talk in their own accents, and people are afraid to hear an Irish person expressing themselves.
Fucking preach, Stevie.
And it's happened. No, it's changed. So it's changed. So whether you've Trigger here in his accent, or whether you've Afro-Irish kids, whether you've Eastern Europe people who live here now are Irish, with their little thing. And in the UK now, they've had this problem for years. Like, no one was touching English rap for years, and now you look at like Stormzy, Skepta, Wiley, you look at Dave, all of these guys and girls as well. So
just to make a joke there, our equivalent of Dave would be some rapper called John,
Brian, Mark. But the other thing is, and again with the African thing, and even the Jamaican culture or whatever, but this is a global thing, like, because in Africa they weren't listening to African hip hop, they were looking at American or African versions of Tupac and Biggie. And even when the modern Afrobeats first came in, I would have been the first to say, look, Afrobeats is Fela Kuti, man. It's not like these guys are just a bit American. And then in the last, say, 6 or 7 years, the Whiz Kids and the Yemis and the Davidos and all the people now, they've just totally, and it's their own, like, Americans can't do this. So I do think we've had a sort of a situation, particularly in Ireland, because we're between England and America. We've had this kind of like mental kind of like slavery to American music, where we think it's all, and now people are kind of like, because I'm finding it more interesting sometimes to hear someone from Dublin or from Cork. And even what I find really interesting is a lot of the best music I've heard in Ireland is from people who have come here with African parents or from Eastern Europe or whatever, and they're bringing a different experience to Ireland, which was so-called the K to Me default experience. We're all welcoming people because we've gone to America and England, but there's, as we all know, there's a bit more complexity to it, and there's migrants here now who have a different experience, and they're blending in here, and there's interesting kind of topics. We've got a situation here where we've got like a bad kind of thing with migrants can't work and direct provision and stuff. I work in that area with some of the kids we work with, the teenagers, and there's interesting things that people can talk about. So lots of the best Irish hip-hop is from people from that diaspora, the African diaspora or whatever, So it could be like Russ and Gano family for me, stuff that I would be deeply into. And it could be someone like Jafaris could be speaking about it. It could be YP. It could be anyone. So there's interesting stuff here that we can talk about, and you don't even have to be a migrant to say it. You know what I mean? I can express it as a DJ in what I play, or an artist when I make my own music with different singers and stuff. So I do think you can use what no one else has, because no one else lives in Ireland. Lots of these people haven't come from, we'll say, South Africa or Nigeria or Kenya to live here, or they might have come from Tipperary or Dublin so like no one else has your experience, no one else has my experience, and you always use yours that no one else, because like we always, like Kanye, or we look at whoever, but like why don't we look at our own as being a unique thing? And that's more exciting to me than, like, to be honest, I don't want to hear a guy going on about how many like grills he's got in his teeth or how many yachts he's got. It doesn't really excite me. Whereas I'd hear Skepta, or I'd hear Ross and Gano, or I'd hear Jafaris or JLOL or even J Ronick or whoever, and that might be more to what I want to hear about.
Well, I love what you're saying. Essentially, is to be proud of what it is you have to say and how you have to say it.
And no one is more unique than you if you're talking as an artist. So you can have this fantasy lifestyle of like, oh, I'm in the sun and the yachts with like 20 chicks, but like everyone knows that that's not really happening in Cork unless it's a good day in Kinsale. Like,
you know, the best that you could say was I'm on the stony beach with a couple of old dolls.
I'm in Garrettstown, like, you know,
who want to have sex with the lights off.
Yeah. So that's it, really. So I would say to any, especially the youngsters, that's what I would say to them. Just try to find your own voice. Like, there's no point. We'll say Rihanna. Like, there's no point in being like an Aldi version of Rihanna. When Rihanna came out, I've been around long enough to remember people were like, "Oh, she's like a mini Beyonce. What is she? Like, she's nothing. She's pretty. Like, she's." And then people were like, "Oh no, she's got this kind of like Barbados Jamaican thing." And her best music is when she used the reggae, the kind of stuff from the islands.
Like Man Down, like.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, eventually she become more and more of an artist, a writer and whatever. And for me, if you eventually find your style, then no one's sort of like, oh, she's not Beyonce, you know, they're different. Like, so it's the same with anyone, whether it's Kendrick, like he's from Compton, but he's not like Eazy or Ice Cube, you know what I mean? Anderson .Paak is from around there. He's got his own voice. So you just have your own angle, I think, because there's no point in trying to be like a Stormzy if you're not, like, or there's no point in being a Cardi B or whatever. Just trying to be like yourself, you know.
You know what? It's interesting. I just want to tell you a story based on this kind of a topic. Right? As an Irish artist myself, I did struggle with identity, right? And I struggled with expressing my cultureness.
Yeah.
Until one time I got insulted by somebody who said, you know, your music would sound good if you weren't such a culture.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, that's what I actually am. I can't be anything else. So I decided, as a counter, I would write a song about being a culture, right? And like anybody that watches Lab TV or speaks to me knows I went through a big depression for a long time. And in that, it was an identity crisis, right? Who the fuck am I and what is it I want to actually
Which
do?
we all go through, let's face it.
Yeah, it's a human experience, isn't it? But so to touch on the point of pride about what you have to say and who you are, that song I wrote was essentially a celebration of being a culture.
Yeah.
Even though I had shame about it, I decided to celebrate it. And cut now to 2020.
Yeah.
I just got a phone call last week saying I won a competition with that song.
Class.
And
but it just shows you.
I'm going to get to record it now and release it.
Oh, wicked, man.
You know, so that to me just shows, like what you said there, from proof from my life.
You own it yourself. It's like, this is what NWA did with that. I mean, I don't like that word. I try not to ever even play stuff with the word in it. But like they you take the word, which is a disparaging racial insult, and you own it. So Missy Elliot did it with "She's a Bitch." They use that word again. I don't really think like people calling women whatever. I don't like it. But if Missy Elliot is using that word as an empowerment thing, I respect it.
Yeah.
It's the same with, we're on about the Irish stuff. We've got like an imperial past from the other end. And if you take the culture away, that's why people are like kneecap or rapping in Irish. You did it with GMC, the Conasatatu or whatever it was. And you actually use your Irish background. No, sometimes it got to a stage then when Cork hip-hop was first, when the shame changed to a bit of pride. There was even people exaggerating their Cork accents at one stage. It happens in Dublin too. People were trying to be even more Cork, and it gets to too much of a kind of a stage, and it happens in America. But I would say just be yourself, and it's cool that there's 11-year-olds up there up in Knocknaheeny or wherever, and they're rapping in Cork accent and they're proud of,
And they're decent.
and there's younger people again
Even
looking
still,
at them.
Yeah.
So this is cool. What we've got to have our own identity, and whether it's the Irish language or whether it's if you're, we always say to the kids we work with, your heritage. If you are from Ghana or wherever, Kenya or whatever, you might have a different kind of angle, even with fashion or dress sense. And we live in a global world now, and there's ways you can be inspired, and you don't have to be like your mother, because we all want to rebel, like. But you can have a bit of your heritage in there and use it as an inspirational thing.
Well, it makes me want to say, you, your view, whoever it is out there, your viewpoint is important.
Oh yeah.
Because the whole purpose of, I feel, of life itself is to expand our understanding. And I think in hip hop, you have an opportunity, or as a rapper, you have an opportunity to expand or offer an expansion of an understanding to someone.
Yeah.
Like where I'm from, I can tell you where I'm from, what it's like.
Yeah, yeah. No one else can have your life experience
and that's what's important.
Yeah.
Like your perspective may offer light to someone who doesn't have it.
Yeah, well, that's the advice I would say to people anyways, just be themselves. I mean, I'm definitely, the music I'm into has been in and out of fashion. I've changed my own taste 1 or 2 times, but I definitely always like R&B and hip-hop. In the last 10 years, I told you that I struggled with some of the modern African music, maybe in the 90s when I was around. There was like, I just felt that the legacy of Fela Kuti and the stuff that I was into was never matched. But in the last 10 years, that music, in Jamaican music, it's gone in, sometimes Jamaican artists over the years, like there was always, after Bob Marley, it was very hard because he was so powerful for people to develop, but there was brilliant underground stuff came, and some of the Jamaican dancehall I wasn't into because it was just so sexist, it was so this and that, but even in that music, the more conscious style has come back in, and there's always just brilliant music everywhere really, but I would say try to go with what you're into rather than, I mean, fashion comes and goes, we're all into fashion, but try to be what you are as an artist, or if you're being inspired by other stuff, just try to do your thing. That's one advice I would give to people anyway. There's other stuff because you can do a lot of stuff yourself these days. It's not like a record company situation where, like, lots of people who work in major record companies even now aren't even into music, so that's just a big corporate thing that you can do things yourself now. Like Lab TV is a DIY YouTube situation. You can do stuff on Instagram or Snapchat now yourself. You can release music yourself. It's not all physical. It doesn't all cost money. You can go down and busk yourself. So like we have the power in a way, you know. Now trying to go from that on the street corner to be like a global thing is very hard. So I would say the percentages are probably against us, but if you're just doing it for reasons of what you like, it's definitely a good hobby at least. You know?
But I feel, right, from my own personal journey, right, what I'm trying to achieve in 2020 is a step closer to becoming renowned worldwide. Right?
Yeah.
So everything I do now is a step in that direction.
Yeah.
And I decided to commit to myself for the year. Small challenges, 7-day challenges, to convince myself I can and see where it leads. So I guess why I'm saying this is that when I get there, I'm going to fucking tell everyone how to do that.
Yeah, and remember us when you're there, like, you know.
When I get there, I'm going to explain.
Remember me and Fortune, man.
I'm
going to here on the coach, like, you know. That's Sunday night.
I'll be like, hey, come here, this is how it happened. You know what I mean? It's going to be decent. Stevie, thank you, bye.
All right. Thanks for having me. Keep up the good work, boys. We go back, like, you know.
Way back, man.
You slept on my coach and everything.
I know, I remember.
After Jam Junior in Clan.
And there was a gig in Macroom as well, isn't there?
Probably, I can't even remember, you know.
That gig in Macroom was my favourite.
Which one was that? No, that was Clan, no?
Was it Clan?
I think it was Clan. Jam Junior. DJ Hoopy.
Yes, it was. It was.
GMC, Anto, maybe. I don't know, but look, we go back.
We do go back, but there was what was it, 19 or something?
Yeah.
That song, Beautiful. And the crowd actually sang it back to me. I was like, what's going on here? How did they know this song?
That's it. But keep up the good work on Lab TV, always supporting the stuff, so.
And you too, bye.
Yeah.
Legend. Yeah. We're our class. It's just a journey to the Y. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.
And make sure that you follow this guy.
Yeah, man.
Hey. Oh yeah, do you want to tell us your Facebook and Instagram?
Stevie G Cork on Facebook. Instagram is Stevie Granger, and Twitter is the same. But you'll find me, man. I'm easy to find.
Links.
Just posting all the time, crappy memes, and you'll find me.
You gotta love those memes, bye. Yeah, we're all class. Yart.